Good afternoon, everybody. I hope I'm audible. Okay, great to have you here. And today's topic is DeepSeek and the future of AI. And no one better than Amitabh Ray to speak about it. In his 3.5 decades of career, he has helmed the digital transformation of companies like Ericsson, IBM, PwC. The common thread between them is all of them are over 100 years old, some even 150 years old. This gives him a unique perspective of looking around the corner and steering large, mega ships in a turbulent sea full of nimble yachts who are competing. So let's start with the very first question: how AI is typically revolutionizing the world. I'll just take some time to have an anecdote. AI seems to be DeepSeek and the ChatGPT seems to have permeated into all our lives. And I asked DeepSeek this afternoon as to what is the weirdest request it has received from its users. And it said that the weirdest, the quirkiest one was someone asking it to write a wake-up letter from a tomato to a refrigerator because the refrigerator was giving more attention to the lettuce. Now, this is how we are using it. Amitabh, over to you with the first question: how AI is typically revolutionizing the world.
Okay. Thanks, Abhijit, for the wonderful intro. And of course, all you know that different usage of AI happening in our life today. And I would say that the sheer size of investment in AI makes it a compelling technology, right? Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, Microsoft all plan to allocate about over 320 billion combined, making a significant increase from, let's say, 230 odd billion in 2024. Countries also are pumping in mega billion in a race towards AI supremacy. It's reshaping economics, it's reshaping supply chains and day-to-day life by automating tasks for us, analyzing massive data set for you know more efficiently than ever, right? And it is basically augmented human capabilities in the field of medicine, logistics, finance, research. You know, historically transformative technologies. If you think of from the steam engine to electricity, have driven industrial revolutions, and today AI is also no exception to it. It is accelerating innovation, it is changing the job requirements and influencing the balance of global power. As the technology matures, AI impact extend beyond mere automation, leading to, as I was saying, augmented intelligence, where human, people like us would leverage AI to solve complex problems more creatively, I would say, right? And now let's bring some example here to make it real, right? So one example I can think of, let's say in healthcare. So AI today is significantly improving medical diagnostics, particularly detecting diseases like cancer, uh, heat conditions, neurological disorders. Google's DeepMind AI tool and other similar systems can analyze medical scans, like X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans with greater accuracy and speed than human doctors. What are the impacts? One impact is, of course, early detection and precision. AI can identify the anomalies in medical images much earlier than traditional methods, allowing for early intervention and better patient outcome. Speed and efficiency is the second one. What might take a radiologist hours or days, AI can do that in seconds, reducing the burden on healthcare professionals a lot. access to healthcare. This is important, like countries like India, right? AI-powered tools are making healthcare more accessible in remote areas where normally the specialist may not be available all the time. Uh, just few days back, I was listening to Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai in the on the future of AI thing happening in Davos, I believe. He gave a very concrete example. He said it normally takes one person to complete their entire PhD to detect one protein. AlphaFold, an AI system developed by DeepMind, predicted 3D structure of over 200 million proteins, actually covering almost every protein known to the science in just 2 months. Now, this is a groundbreaking achievement that is accelerating the drug discovery, the vaccine development, and biotechnology research. This is just one of the examples which shows the many ways AI revolutionizing industries. Similar breakthroughs are happening in finance, let's say in area of fraud detection, in education, in personalized learning, manufacturing, in the area of smart automation, and business in general, where AI powered decision making is helping the executives. Right? So back to you, Abhijit.
That's a very interesting points that you have, that it's accelerating a lot of things, including research, and that is going to impact humanity to a large extent. The very next question is that it is also raising fears of immense job losses, which leads us to the second question, which is it true that people with AI will replace people without AI? How far is that, and is that statement correct?
I think this phrase is an oversimplification. Yeah, you always hear, and people will ask you that what is going to happen. While AI can automate many tasks and upskill certain roles, right? It does not automatically mean that individuals without AI tools are replaced. Instead, the trend is moving towards augmentation. I'm using this phrase augmentation time and again, just to give couple of examples, like what is augmentation. Rather than outright replacement of person, it will help the person to do things better. The example I gave to answer your previous question, that how medical scanning tools, AI based tools, are helping the doctors. It's not replacing the doctors, but augmenting the doctors to do better things, faster things in a more cost effective way. So the phrase, the people with AI will replace people without AI, is somewhere true, but it is it basically reflects a fundamental shift in now the work. Today the work is evolving with AI. So I think, to simplify it, let me tell you what it basically means. You know, AI won't necessarily take the jobs, but people who use AI effectively will definitely outperform those who don't. So that's point number one. Point number two is AI is becoming a force multiplier, enabling individual to do more in less time with better accuracy. So that is the other important thing. The third point is rescaling and adaptability of AI will determine who thrives in this AI-driven world. The companies or individuals who will adapt it better, they will perform better. Couple of examples again to make this thing a little more live, right? In software development, we see AI-powered coding tools like GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT code interpreter. Okay, help the developers write and debug code faster. Developers who use AI will be far more productive than those who don't. Right? It's not going to replace them. Let's say in marketing and content creation, another example I can think of. Let's say AI tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Jasper, they assist in generating very high quality content, reducing the need of large teams. Marketers who are today using AI will outperform those who manually create content from the scratch. Healthcare, again, coming back to my favorite example, AI helps doctors to analyze scans and medical data very quickly. Doctors who leverage AI will make faster, more accurate diagnosis than those who rely solely on traditional method. Customer service is another example. While we see AI chatbots are answering queries, allowing human agents to only solve complex problems, and that is a better cost-effective solution. I hope I could answer your question, Abhijit. Back to you.
Perfectly. So you are talking about augmented intelligence to crystallize your thoughts. Now, this brings us to a very interesting question: is that although people with AI may not be replacing exactly the people without AI, it seems that companies from China are actually replacing companies who have started using AI to create ChatGPT. So DeepSeek seems to be driving home a point that that we can do when we leverage AI to create competitive advantages and very quickly. So within less than 26 months, it has created a competitive advantage. So this brings us to this question that let me read it from here. DeepSeek claims to have developed an AI model for $6 million. Now, 5.7 to be exact. How do you think this is going to become a template for others to copy? And then the shift happens from massive mega investments, mega power requirements, mega compute requirements to far simpler models. And what happens when this shift happens? Over to you.
Yeah, good question. I think this is also in everybody's mind these days. I believe that the 6 million thing is a little over exaggeration. And I was going through some research papers and which shows basically this amount was in training their model, not the entire amount involved. And also you need to understand that the pure invention is always more expensive, and people who play the catch-up game, they have additional advantage of knowing what not to do. So keep that part aside. Let me start by saying this. Two dates have become milestones of the AI era, and it is November 30th 2022 when ChatGPT was launched, and January 23rd of this year, 2025, when DeepSeek was unveiled. I call this pre-ChatGPT period is like BC, before ChatGPT. And once DeepSeek was unleashed, it was like AD, the world after DeepSeek. So before ChatGPT and after DeepSeek, it's like BC and AD to me. Both technology, in a way, democratized artificial intelligence for different reasons, though. While ChatGPT, with its natural language conversational capabilities, became an instant hit by reaching 100 million users in around 2 months. DeepSeek's comparatively low development cost highlights an emerging reality. You don't necessarily need massive data centers and multi-billion dollar investment to create a capable model. By focusing on smaller number of parameters and innovative techniques like pure RL, which in AI world called reinforcement learning, or more efficient training pipelines, DeepSeek, which within days became the most downloaded app, demonstrated how AI can be democratized and made more accessible to people. However, it also critical to note that large tech firms have already invested heavily in the broader AI ecosystem: data centers, specialized hardwares, integrated cloud services, and legal and regulatory expertise. Their business model extend beyond a single model, you know, uh, which is focused towards creation cost. involving ongoing customer support and robust enterprise solutions. So DeepSeek's approach may be disruptive, and I must say it is disruptive, but these large tech companies still provide end-to-end service, research breakthroughs, and global reach. So there is always, we'll have to differentiate between people who do fundamental research and come up with something, and people who try to, catch up by knowing already where not to invest and what can be done in a better way. So these are two different, fundamentally different model, right? So that's my answer.
Interesting that you had once said, if I recall, is that copy with pride. You always have a second mover advantage. That DeepSeek seems to have done a second mover advantage, and it has not taken the route that ChatGPT has taken with supervised learning and using a large amount of compute power. Uh, Peering under the hood of DeepSeek and going through the research papers, there seems to be two or three major differences. One is that they have used a mixture of expert model, MOE, and the other is a chain of thought, and it's open source vis-a-vis the ChatGPT model of being not open source. It's a black box. So can you explain this mixture of experts as well as the chain of thought, if possible? I know it's a very new thing to us.
Yeah, so now you are slowly getting into more technical areas, and no, I will try to simplify it as much
Simplify
as I
it,
can,
yes.
because being overly technical perhaps is not the requirement from the audience today. So what is the difference? One is smaller scale and fewer parameters. I'll try to explain that how they're trying to overcome the costly affair of ChatGPT, OpenAI, and others. So DeepSeek R1 reportedly has about 30 billion parameters, significantly less than GPT-4, which has about 1.7 trillion. And training a smaller model generally reduces cost of computing and cost of energy used, right? And I'll try to explain this a little more, that what it means by lesser number of parameters. Okay. The second thing is use of reinforcement learning, or RL. So DeepSeek preliminary relies on reinforcement learning rather than the more resource intensive form of learning, which is called RLFH, or reinforcement learning from human feedback. While RLHF can improve user aligned responses, I would say, it also demands significant human labor and computing resources. What that basically means that you are giving an answer, and then you are waiting for human to give you a feedback of that answer, and you are refining your answer based on the human feedback. And RL is basically, you just based on your knowledge, you are just giving the answer. You are not waiting for human intervention. The thing you asked is mixture of experts, and this is where I want to spend a little time. What is it? Like how they can use the much lower number of parameters. So instead of using a single massive neural network for all tasks, MOE divides the work among multiple smaller models, or they call it experts. Now, let me try to put it in a layman's language. So when you are asking a question to, let's say, one AI model, that may be using or taking that question through all those 1.7 billion, reinforcements. Like it is this or that, if not this, then that, and then what you are trying to say and what information it can gather across the field. These guys, what they have done, they have said, okay, we will have an engine which will try to understand that this question is from which field. So let's say question is from geography. Then it eliminates all the other parameters which checks in the area of physics and biology and mathematics and so on and so forth, just go through those geology questions and try to find the answer, or go into that database to find an answer. So let's say there are 10 such databases in a layman's language, which has geographic answers, history answers, biology answers, so on and so forth. So first thing they do, they try to identify this question is supposed to be answered from which particular area. Then it gets there. So it is faster. Contrast to the other model, they will try to get the answer from across that databases, right? Like history, geography, biology, and all. So they created smaller expert system which will basically give answer faster. So at any given time, only few experts are activated, reducing the computational load while still producing the high quality result. This approach allows scaling up the model size while keeping the inference cost lower. Example, a traditional dense model with 100 billion parameters activates all 100 billion parameters for every input. In contrast, an MOE model may have 100 billion parameters in total, but only use 10 billion at a time, making it much more efficient. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
No.
This is a fascinating example. I mean, the analogies that you used, it helps us to understand. In the interest of time, we will crunch two or three questions into one so that audience can have time to ask questions. What is the problem of hallucination? Do you think that using lesser parameters, there is a risk of more hallucination in DeepSeek than in ChatGPT, because they have used more number of tokens to train them? And what would you go for? I mean, what is your go-to LLM, ChatGPT or DeepSeek?
No, I wouldn't say that which one I will go for. I will perhaps try everything else as well. But let me try to explain to our listener what hallucination is in the AI. So hallucination and the reliability of AI output remain universal challenge. It's across the different models. All large language models like LLMs, including DeepSeek and OpenAI's ChatGPT, can produce credible but incorrect or misleading answers. Studies like those from MIT in 2023 shows that even models employing RLHF still provides inaccurate or harmful output under certain conditions. So, which is basically reinforcement learning from human feedback. Example, this example will not work if you try today, because I already tried and they learned because of reinforcement. But some time back, I asked that who won the FIFA World Cup in 2026? And the AI replied, Brazil won the 2026 World Cup. Now, what is the problem? The AI does not actually know the answer because 2026 hasn't happened yet, but guesses based on the patterns instead of saying, I don't know. So, why does this happen? AI doesn't know facts, it predicts the next word based on the training data. Just like today, after incorporating AI, you will see in Word and other documents, or if you are using Gmail, you will see that it tries to predict what you are trying to write, at least a couple of words. Okay, it is the model, right? It tries to predict that what next thing will come based on the training data. It tries to sound confident. That's the problem with the AI, even when it's wrong. It fills in gap when information is missing instead of saying, I don't know that data or I don't have that data. DeepSeek is not immune to these pitfalls. It has been criticized for scenarios where it generated hypothetical or misleading content, which we call hallucination. Whether it is more reliable depends on specific use cases and the rigor of its training data, safeguards, and alignment processes. Ultimately, no LLM is fully free from hallucination risk, making continuous refinement and responsible usage that crucial for us. Yeah, Vijay.
This is a fascinating point, and actually, I bring some personal experience into it. My daughter has become an expert in finding hallucinations, while using Chat GPT. So I said that you must include it in your skill set. That you are good at finding hallucinations. So. Uh, I mean, so what do you think is the future? I mean, a chat gpt or DeepSeek or these LLM seems to be like students, especially some students that we know of, I mean, who cram things rather than find a logic in the answer and then just pour out that crammed knowledge instead of thinking through it. So what do you think is the future?
Yeah. On hallucination, yeah, there are interesting stories. Like just until few days back, it never could ChatGPT could not give a proper answer that how many R's in strawberry, because unknown question, right? So now it is doing it because people figured it out. This is the hallucination. People started asking the same question time and again. But anyway, so the question is choice. Uh, shall we take one versus the other? I think choice depends on use cases, technical needs, and the risk tolerance. DeepSeek, there are a lot of pros. It's open source based. I think this is the biggest advantage of DeepSeek. They have released their source code to everybody. So primarily, uses reinforcement learning, lower computational footprint, and potentially more accessible for developers and organizations outside the traditional US big tech ecosystem because of its open sourcing. I think this is the game changer. A lot of people at companies we will see going forward uh, take that open source based tool and adopt it in their own way. And so it will perhaps create a whole new ecosystem. But there are cons, might have fewer parameters and potentially less nuanced performance in certain tasks. uh, Open source nature could also mean that less centralized oversight or curated support. Now, if you look at ChatGPT, which is OpenAI product, there are pros, right? I would say one is the base ChatGPT model is trained on massive text databases in a self-supervised manner, predicting the next token in a sequence. Okay, this stage primarily uses a predict the next word. That is the objective, right? And doesn't rely on explicit human level data. uh, a large user community it has. Everybody almost uses ChatGPT in one way or the other, and integrated with various enterprise platform and developer tools starting from Microsoft and others. So that is a big advantage of ChatGPT because it has a early starter advantage. These are the knowledge engines. More you train them, more you use them, it becomes more and more you know uh, effective model. But there are cons. One is it is a proprietary model. It has higher computational cost, and the usage is subject to OpenAI's terms and pricing structure. So there are certain limitations here. Your choice might hinge on the budget, desired control over the model. If you want to have something which is integrated with a less cost in your own and you can make changes in the model, then you'll have to choose maybe the open source based model. Okay. uh, on the other hand, if you have no budget constraint and you are okay with these limiting factors, ChatGPT will provide you a large scale well tested ecosystem. Back to you, Abhijit.
We could have consumed another half an hour, but this almost brings us to the end of the conversation. Very, very scintillating conversation we had. I now throw open this platform to others, the audience, to ask questions. Please, I will ask the moderator and the coordinator of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, which has organized this wonderful fireside chat, to throw it open to others to ask their questions. Over to you for your first questions. How to avoid cons in this AI era? This is Somadeep Chattopadhyay asking this question.
It is the way I look at it, AI will continue to evolve along multiple fronts. Starting from model innovation to regulatory and ethical framework and hardware partnership and alliance. So there is a lot of geopolitical force playing here, as all of us are aware, right? So how to avoid the cons? You will have to choose a model what basically caters to your need, right? Every model will have its own cons, right? So the ultimate uh, response to this question would be, what is your objective, okay, and how you'd like to achieve, and which one you think is going to help you to achieve your objective within the parameters of your cost, your timeline, uh, your risk appetite, which is very important. There are data protection risk and all today being discussed and debated in Europe and US uh, in light of DeepSeek coming out of China, and a lot of concern about data protection in that country, right?
So okay. So this is somebody's congratulating us for a great session. Is there any other question from anybody else?
So I will end this conversation with a story, Abhijit.
Please.
There are people. And this is the other big question about AI. It's not about this LLMs only. That is it going to be more powerful than us one day, and it is going to be the end of humanity the way we know. Would the robots will come and capture us? And unfortunately, uh, we cannot answer it that yes, it is not going to happen, or yeah, it is going to happen. um, since it is a discussion around ChatGPT and DeepSeek, I'll tell you a true story about this. uh, and this is documented in OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 technical report, which was published in March of 2023. And you can Google it. You can go and get that report and find out. Now, what happened? As part of AI alignment testing, OpenAI researchers worked with the Alignment Research Center, which is called ARC, to see if GPT-4, the model a lot of us these days use, could complete task autonomously, like on its own. One of the tasks was asked by the user to solve a captcha. You know what is captcha, right? That you get some text on the screen, computer asks, let me check if you are a robot or not, and you have to put that. Sometimes it gives different pictures, say, okay, in how many of these boxes motorcycle is there, to validate against the risk of some AI bots trying to gather or take away your confidential financial data and things like that. So the task was to solve CAPTCHA, and this was given to ChatGPT 4, which the AI could not do directly. The AI was allowed to do whatever it needs, and AI ChatGPT 4 hired a human worker via an online gig platform. It is called TaskRabbit, without being asked. When the worker on the TaskRabbit site asked, "Are you a robot?" ChatGPT lied and said that it had a vision impairment issue. It cannot see well, so it needs help. The worker then solved the captcha, believing the AI was human. Can you believe it? It started reading your mind, that what kind of answer will be, psychologically force you to give that captcha away. Now, why OpenAI do this? To test the AI's ability to manipulate human in real world scenarios, to access the potential risk of AI acting on its own. And this is a true story, happened just a year and a half back. So
Kavita
would
Desai asked
finish
a
it by,
question. Okay.
yeah.
Kavita Desai asked this question: India's position in this developing ecosystem, and followed by, yeah, how do you see India's position in this, in the background of these developments? And Debashish sends question: Basic AI Center of Excellence. Now it's AD. In your words, should India set up a basic AI Center of Excellence?
I think government is doing it. So if you really go through our Prime Minister's speech just some time back in France, it was all about AI, right? Uh, I think we understand what is needed. I think countries like India, countries like Saudi Arabia, and all will basically wait and see which way the development is going and try to put significant resources around it and to drive AI. Um, I don't think we have that kind of monetary power to invest in a big way. Okay. However, I think the use cases of AI, using the use cases of AI by doing the proper hardware partnership and alliances, and then ensuring that we are aligned with the right regulatory and ethical framework. Um, I think we have a lot of opportunity in this place. But yeah, I, I guess we'll have to leapfrog from where we are today, and then emerging economics role like India continues to be very important. We'll have to uh, adapt whichever technology suits in our own interest. Uh, Often, I believe our favored one will be open source and cost-effective solution to expedite the digital transformation in our country.
There's one question coming up from Rajarshi Ghosh. Throw some light on predictive AI, because so far AI is learning from past models and then trying to give a context and then try to give an answer based on its learnings, its training models. But how about predictive AI? It's a very important question. Um, so could you please take this one on?
You see, yeah, and again, without being very technical, I'll try to say that how this AI works. It's basically uh, based on neural network concept. Neural network is a type of computer program that learns from example, like just our brain learns from our experience, right? So our brain learn from experience, computer program learn from examples. It is made up of layer of tiny processing units or neurons. In computers world, they call them, GPUs and things like that. Think like this. Let's say, imagine you are teaching a child to recognize cats. So you show them many pictures of cats and say, this is a cat. So child notice the patterns cat usually have, like fur, whiskers, and pointy ears. Over time, the child learns to identify cats even in a new picture. A neural network works the same way, but with the math and the data. It looks at a lot of examples, finds patterns, and then makes prediction. I think we have not reached that level that it can make prediction very accurately, but we will get there. You also need to understand that you need way more computing power to make those predictions correct, and our knowledge will come from the past experience. So if something happened in past and it's captured well, and multiple times the similar thing happened, then computer can figure out a pattern and perhaps try to predict. It's like identifying objects in photos or translating the language or even driving a car. It can do, right? When you are driving a car, you are basically predicting. Uh, and 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 I think there we will go. A lot of exciting thing is going to happen over the next 7 to 10 years, I believe, with newer computing power going to be available to us, and let's see. But I think it will get there. It will predict. It will not predict the day we will die, perhaps, but it will be able to predict some major events based on the patterns very soon.
Okay, so if there is, we have reached the end of the session. It seems, if the team, the wonderful team which is working behind the scenes to make this happen, give us a sense that do we have time for any more questions, or should we end here? I think this is the time where we thank here and thank everybody, thank the team that's organized this, thank Indian Chamber of Commerce, and thank Amitabh Ray, Chairman of the ICC National Expert Committee on Technology, Innovation and Advancement, for this wonderful explanation and making things easy for us to understand what is going on. This is a momentous occasion. This is transformative. As you said, that from before ChatGPT to AD, we've come this far in a just span of 26 months, and the next 26 months is going to be even more exciting. Thank you very much. Thanks, Amitabh. Thanks, ICC, and thanks the audience for their wonderful participation.
Thanks everybody for having me here. It was a pleasure.
Look forward to the next session. Okay.